Hello, this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts with a second video to show you how I make my own shaker domes, or rather the molds for their own shaker domes. I showed you in yesterday's video how I made my shape from a hard die, which was this, and I used some polymer clay and formed the heart. I showed you how you can do the same thing with air dry clay, and then I showed you how I use some putty to make a silicone mold to go with this. I did since then update a little edit in the description of yesterday's video, because I realized that the shape is actually too big, because it should ideally be smaller than the die. So today I thought I'll have another go at this, but I use another die that came with the same coffee mug die, which is the cream that goes on top. And what I've done is, again, like with yesterday's shape, I cut it from cardboard. This time I used two separate pieces, and then that allowed me to actually cut it with the die cutting machine, and then I just glued these two together with double-sided tape. And as I showed you yesterday, I had some polymer clay, and I used some I spread it out a bit into almost the exact shape. I used a bit of sandwich bag plastic to put on top. I pressed this down, and then I smoothed this out, cut all the excess off, and you can then apply it whilst this is still on, make it all smooth. When you've taken it off, smooth it a bit more, because any sort of crease will come up in the shaker dome later. And then you bake it in the oven. Ideally you do this on the surface that you put in the oven. This is just an upside down lid of a Pyrex dish, but you can also use a tile or a metal tray that allows you to put it in the oven. So what I have done now for the negative, rather than using the silicone, I have taken some more polymer clay and I have conditioned it. Condition means you roll it in your hands until it's really pliable and warmed up, because you need it to be pliable to actually get the shape in. And I've used plenty, but it's all scraps that I had. And putting this down here, because all I want to do now is press this into the polymer clay to make the negative part. And you need this to be as high as the actual shape. So you can, if you can't press it down anymore, you can mold this upwards, so you have a proper negative. Make sure it's even as well and not higher on one side than it is on the other. Press it down, make sure it's level on the top so that you've got a proper negative. Push it in a bit, make sure you don't have any air pockets. So level it out here, because the mold, you will have a rim, and that needs to be even. And when you think you've done that correctly, it doesn't have to be 100%, but as close as you can, then take a little tool. I'm looking for my pokey tool here, maybe just the carving knife, and try to lift this out. And there we go. You could, if you're not sure whether this will actually come out, you could put the sandwich bag in again first, but I try to avoid that because it does crease a bit, and I try not to have too many creases on the inside, because it will be a bit more difficult to actually smooth it out on the inside. So, and now that I've done this, I can pop this in the oven at 110 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Leave this to cool down, and then I can show you in my next video how I turn this into a shaker dome. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.